Pilot Handbook 1.1 Introduction to Flying. The Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge is our guide into the world of aviation, serving both aspiring student pilots and those aiming for advanced certifications. Let's take a journey through the skies, exploring the history of flight, the pivotal role of the Federal Aviation Administration, aviation regulations, government publications, eligibility for pilot certificates, routes to flight instruction, and the crucial roles played by certificated flight instructors or CFIs and designated pilot examiners, DPEs, in shaping future aviators. Additionally, we'll touch on the transition from Practical Test Standards, PTS, to the new Airman Certification Standards, ACS, framework. Now, let's dive into the captivating history of flight. Since time immemorial, humans have gazed at birds soaring through the air, yearning to join them. It's a tale of ambition, trial, and error that spans thousands of years. Picture this. Our ancestors attempting to fly with wings, learning from each failure, and pondering the mysteries of flight. Fast forward to the 1500s, where Leonardo da Vinci filled his notebooks with sketches of flying machines, though flawed in their bird-like wing design. Jumping ahead to 1655, the brilliant mind of Robert Hooke asserted that the human body lacks the strength for unaided flight. The need for artificial propulsion entered the narrative. Now, in 1783, enter the Montgolfier brothers and the first manned hot air balloon, flying for 23 minutes. The allure of balloon flight took hold, but balloons had limitations. They could only embark on one-way, downwind journeys. Balancing the scales, the quest for controlled flight turned to kites. Sir George Cayley, often hailed as the father of aerial navigation, believed that studying kites held the key to winged flight. Now, in the 1850s, Cayley's glider experiments laid the groundwork for modern aeronautics, showing us the path to man-carrying airplanes. As time marched on, visionaries like William Samuel Henson and Otto Lilienthal pushed the boundaries of powered flight. However, the pivotal moment arrived on December 17, 1903, in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The Wright brothers, Wilbur and Orville, bicycle builders from Dayton, Ohio, not only dreamed but meticulously experimented for 4 years. Their scientific approach, incorporating kites and a homemade wind tunnel, led to the creation of the Flyer, a biplane that, on that historic day, took flight for a total of 98 seconds, marking the dawn of the age of flight. In the early days of flight, it was a bit of a free-for-all. There was no government body stepping in to set rules, regulations, or safety standards. People could hop into planes and take off without any government oversight. It was like the Wild West of the skies, with most early flights being more for fun than anything else. Now, aviation wasn't cheap back then, and it became a playground mainly for the wealthy. The planes were small, and many folks doubted their commercial potential. But here's where it gets interesting. Now, imagine this. P.E. Fansler, a businessman from Florida, goes up to Tom Benoist of the Benoist Aircraft Company and pitches the idea of a flight route from St. Petersburg to Tampa. Benoist suggests using his safety-first airboat, and a deal is struck. This collaboration birthed what would become the first scheduled airline in the United States. The first flight of the new airline took place on December 31, 1913. Picture it, a historic moment unfolding as the first aircraft takes to the skies. Now, to decide who gets the honor of being the first paying airline customer, they hold a public auction. A former mayor, A.C. Field, wins with a bid of $400. That secured his place in history as the first paying airline passenger. Fast forward to January 1, 1914, the first scheduled airline flight covering 21 miles in 23 minutes against a headwind. The return trip was a bit quicker at 20 minutes. This airline, subsidized by Florida businessmen, ran for 4 months, offering regular passage for $5 per person or $5 per 100 pounds of cargo. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. The success of this venture led to route expansions to Manatee, Bradenton, and Sarasota. It showed that there was real potential for a profitable commercial airline. Even though the St. Petersburg-Tampa Airboat Line only operated for 4 months, it carried 1,205 passengers without any injuries, proving that commercial passenger airline travel was not just a dream. Now, switch gears a bit. World War I comes around, and airplanes get a chance to show off their versatility. They start as reconnaissance platforms, but, by 1918, airplanes are being mass-produced for various roles like fighters, bombers, trainers, and reconnaissance. After the war, folks are looking for new uses for airplanes. Airmail service becomes a popular idea, but the war is still causing issues. It's not until 1918 that the War Department and Postal Service strike a deal. The Army uses mail service to train pilots in flying cross-country. The first airmail flight happens on May 15, 1918, between New York and Washington, D.C. Now, it wasn't the smoothest ride. The pilot got lost and landed at the wrong airfield. But by August 1918, the United States Postal Service takes control of airmail routes, bringing Army airmail pilots and their planes into the program as postal employees. That's how airmail takes off, quite literally. Let's journey into the era when airmail routes expanded, eventually leading to the inauguration of the Transcontinental Mail Route. This route stretched all the way from San Francisco to New York, covering an impressive 2,612 miles with 13 stops along the way. Fast forward to May 20, 1926, when Congress passed the Air Commerce Act, a pivotal moment in U.S. aviation history. This act became the foundation for aviation within the country. Leaders in the aviation industry backed it, believing that the airplane's full potential could only be reached with the assistance of the federal government, especially in improving safety. The Air Commerce Act handed the responsibility to the Secretary of Commerce. The Secretary was charged with fostering air commerce, laying down air traffic rules, licensing pilots, certificating aircraft, establishing airways, and managing aids to air navigation. In response, the Department of Commerce formed a new Aeronautics branch, tasked with overseeing the aviation industry. Additionally, this branch took over the construction and operation of the nation's lighted airways. Picture this. The Transcontinental Air Mail Route system, initiated by the Postal Service, played a crucial role in these developments. The Department of Commerce made significant strides in aviation communications during this time, introducing radio beacons as an effective navigation tool.